Hello, everyone. You're welcome to my YouTube channel, Merst of Mentors. This is Python for All. In today's video, I will talk about context managers. Context managers allow the allocation and the release of resources precisely when needed. The most widely used example of context managers is with the with statement. The with statement. For example, I show you a simple code snippet. With open, and then you pass in the file name or the file path, and then followed by another argument, W, which is write as a file object. Okay, and then you call file.write, and then you pass in what you want to write. You can write a whole bunch of statements. You can write different things to that file object. Normally, the usual way of doing it is to call open the file name, okay, with a argument, right, as file object. Then write the whole file, and after writing the file, then you call the file object dot close. But with Context Manager, it manages the opening, the allocation of resources, and then the closing of that file automatically without having to close the file manually. Let's take an example. Here I have with open demo.txt. There must be a file extension. If you decide not to put a file extension, it means that the file will be written, but when you want to open the file, you will have to open it with a file editor of your choice. Okay, so with open demo, I call the file name demo.txt and then write a file as this, and I write f.write I am great. I'll run this script. I'll show you where the demo.txt is saved, and then we open it. We also see the content that has been written to the demo.txt. So if we run this file, what do we have? It's already, created and saved. And so open the file location. The file location is here, which is my Merged Mentors notes. And then you can see demo.txt right over here. I liked it. If you open demo.txt, it shows I am great on the first line. So if I want to continually write to this file, all I need to do is to open it again in an append mode, and then I can append to the content of this file. Let's also show something here. I want to delete this and also demonstrate to you if you don't have a file extension attached to it. Second, increase the font so that you can see it. So here I will run this script again. What do I have? It returns same. Go back here, we can see the demo.txt. That will open it. I'm great. It's written to read. So again, I'll trash this file. Go back here. Let's open this as just demo. I'm making this video with my Ubuntu OS workstation. So, but this code runs efficiently well in Windows OS, okay, as this is OS independent. So when I run this way, again, I have the file written, and I check you have it as, can you see, demo. On Ubuntu, if you have a file extension or you don't have a file extension added to it, or TXT or CSV or any extension of your choice, you can still open the file. But in Windows, it will require you to open it either with a notepad.ase or any other editor of your choice. So I always prefer to add an extension.txt to it. So what is the class implementation of Context Manager? So here I want to talk about how you can implement your own context manager. Two Dunder methods we are going to look at are the enter and the exit Dunder method that must be defined in any context manager. Okay, I have a function collate, and I define the init method. It takes a file name and the method open to read or to write. And then here I define the instantiate the self.file object to be open file name and method. So this open is built in, so I call that built-in file name and method, and then define the enter method, which returns self dot the file object, and the exit method, which closes the open file, takes in parameter type, value, and traceback, and this returns self dot file object dot close. So here is the code. Run this, and then I can call with collate demo.txt as f, and then I write f.write. This f is the file object, f.write, and I write py for a, okay, next line vowler. Let's run this and see what happens. Run this again, and go back to my file. You can see the demo.txt. Okay, the first one is without the extension, demo.txt. We open this. What do we have? On the first line, py4a. On the next line, vowler. That's exactly what I've written to this file. So with the with statement, you can, you store the exit method. Secondly, it calls the enter method, and the enter method opens the file and returns the file object. The open file handle is then passed to the file object f, or you can call it anything, f object, f, whatsoever name that suits you. And then you make entries to the open file object using the write method. At the end of the write, okay, put in files or resources, or writing resources to the files. Then the with statement also calls the exit method, and the exit method closes the file. This is the simple explanation of what happens within a collate function class. Now, how do we handle exceptions? Exceptions are handled with the parameter, type, value, and traceback of the exit method in the class. If any exception occurs, Python passes the type, the value, and the traceback of that exception to the exit method, the Dundal exit method. And this allows the Dundal exit method to decide whether to close the file and if any further steps are required. If the exit method returns true, then the exception was gracefully handled. Otherwise, in the Dunda exit method, the exception is raised with the with statement. In our case, the double underscore exit double underscore method returns none. Hence, the with statement raises the exception. Let's go back to our code. You can see here that the exit method here returns nothing. Whenever the return statement is omitted, it means that method returns none. And so it raises an exception. Now, let's do a simple demonstration. Here, I call the collate function with the collate function demo.txt, write. Okay, the method is to write as a file object, file dot, and I pass in an undefined function. What happens? Let's try it. It raises what? An attribute error. And what happens here is that the exit method has raised an exception indicating that the function called undefined function actually do not exist. And so that file is closed automatically. Now, let's do a little bit of modification to this class. And I define again the collate class, but I come in here and say print under the exit method, print exception successfully handled. And then call the self.fileObject.close and then return true. When we return true, what happens if we now call the undefined function? Because the with statement checks the exit method for any traceback, and when you return true, what happens is that it assumes that that exception has been gracefully handled, and that's what is happening here. So if you run this, what happens? It does not throw up attribute error. It simply says exceptions successfully handled. And so because we have returned true, passing our undefined function, which is actually non-existent, does not raise any exception. And so when you write your own customized context manager, it is best to know how to handle the exception, and better is to return none so that the with statement can automatically handle the exception gracefully. Let's look at implementation of context managers as a generator. Context managers are also implemented using decorators and generators. If you are new to decorators and generators, you will find the link of decorators and generators on this video. So watch it to have a full grasp of what decorators are and what generators are. Python has a context lib, in other words, context library module for this purpose. So instead of writing our own class, we simply use a generator function. For example, we import from context lib, import context manager. And then with the context manager, we'll decorate our function. So we have our context manager, and then we define, for example, open file, the file name, and then we have the file object equals open name and the method which is write. Then here we'll pass in a try which yields f. Now we're using a generator here, and finally close the file object. And so here we have this code. We can run this and we have it in our namespace so that I can now call with open file and I pass in my simple file.txt. The default method is write. And so you can either pass it in or leave it out as f. And then we have f.write completed learning context manager. If we run this, we have a file created and we can quickly look at the file, go back to my folder. We can see it here, simplefile.txt. If we open this simplefile.txt, what do we have on the first line? Completed learning context manager. So that is how we can use a generator alongside the context manager decorator, which is a function from context lib to define customized context manager. One last thing that I want to talk about here is always open a file, either for writing and reading, okay, using the with statement, which is the context manager. For writing, use with open the file name, okay, which can also contain the full file path, followed by the method which is write as f.write. With this, you manage your resources and the memory effectively without having to close this file manually. And then for reading, likewise, you have with open file name or the full file path. Method is r as and then as f, which is a file object, and then you have f.read. If you run this, you can read the content of the whole file. I will be releasing another video. I will detail how we read content of files. Okay, also demonstrated with the use of context manager, which is the with statement, as I've showed you in this code snippet. With this, we have come to the end of this video. Like this video, share this video, and then if you are just watching for the first time, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the notification bell to get notified whenever I release new videos. I will see you in my next video. Bye.